Number one late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Thursday night live stream, the sixth day of the month of August. And I'm excited to be back for another live stream and wanted to talk about something that I think is worth mentioning because it's not too often that you get a mainstream news source allowed to throw out words such as depression. And even though here in the alternative media realm, we've been talking about depression for quite some time now, but it's good to see that the mainstream narrative is deciding to jump on board, which also is concerning because it lets me know that it might be a lot worse than what we are currently experiencing. So we'll dive into that. But as always, welcome to this live stream. Excited to be back for another one. As I mentioned, my name is Mike, the host. And as always, want to welcome any new viewers, as well as those that are joining us again. Definitely let me know where you're watching from in the chat, and I will do my best to shout you out and acknowledge your presence. And then as always, when the phone lines open up, feel free to chime in on this subject matter or whatever else we touch on. So as always, I see Mr. Solo saying gold and silver continue to climb. I know that's why I had to live stream from the vault today, man. Definitely, it's a great time to have already had your weight up. So hopefully you guys are continuing to do such. And as always, feel free to let me know what's going on, man. So let me get refreshed here because on my side, I don't see much. Let me know via comments in the chat. Let me know if everything is flowing smoothly. Looks a little delayed on my end for some reason, but I'll try to do the best I can. And so I'm seeing here that there's some people chiming in, but not showing up on my end. Let me take a minute here. So from what I see on my other monitor, got quite a few people here, but not refreshed on my screen here. But I'll make the best I can with it. Anyway, so we got One Man Army, we got Lamar, we got Tony, we got the New York Redneck, we got James, Barlight Broker, Shirley, Simon, Solo, New York. Okay, fair amount of people here, and so starting to fill in. We got Nathaniel Catbird calling from the Philippines. Appreciate you tuning in. And then we got GMS during branch 77. Okay. Kind of hard of Sunset, Army of One. All right, everybody. So I appreciate you. Everything's streaming great on my end. Okay, so be good to go. Just the comments is not refreshing fast enough on my end. Okay, so let's move right along. Okay, so as you guys can see from this from the thumbnail, as well as the title here, it's official now. I guess it's official. And so we have been given approval from the mainstream media to probably begin labeling this as a depression, even though the mainstream narrative up until this point, it's been 5 months now, give or take, of adjusting into this new entry point into this new decade for the most part. And so mainstream media has been harping recession. But man, it's just no way with the current stats that have been given, based upon what we know of 54 million people unemployed. I don't even know the count anymore, but we have, a large amount of restaurants closed. You got malls closing, you name it, businesses big and small closing. And then we have the homeless lines with food shelters at record highs in the last couple of decades, especially. And then what else? Throw out there some other things that is quite obvious that we've probably surpassed some of the last depression type stats to where they couldn't have gone with that recessionary talk for too much longer. And so here I want to just share with you this article real quick. And let me see. So I'm still lagging big time on my end. So I may not be able to get to the questions in a timely manner because the lag is something else on my side. But I'm going to share this article with you. And so it just caught my attention because once again, it's semi close to truth telling. And so the article here came out today. I read through it. And outside of just, we have two economists here who are basically saying that economists today, they're being too nice. They're watering down what we're currently experiencing now, which doesn't do any justice or really show any remorse for those that are being heavily impacted by what's going on, because they're sugarcoating it in a sense by saying it's a recession and because their jobs are on the line. They have to make it, one of those happy-go-lucky type of, assessments of this current, financial situation we're in. But yet they're saying that it's, going to be a V-shaped recovery and all those things that are basically lies. So these two individuals here had the guts to come out and basically call it for what it is. And so, give an idea here, it says this dire economic situation deserves to be called a depression. And so they gave it a name, the pandemic depression. And so, once again, look ahead 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, and we look back in time, what will this time frame be called? And so they labeled it as the pandemic depression, wanting you to use the whole COVID as the reason for, even though we're heading this way anyway. But it's not coincidental that there's an excuse been given, such as a global health scare. But real quick in the chat, I'm curious to find out, are there any other names or labels that might be given to this current time frame that we're experiencing when it comes to the record books? And so we're all, blessed in a sense, I guess, however you want to look at it, say we are experiencing something that is like no other, because this far surpasses the last Great Depression. And then they also in this article here talk about there's been several things that have been good enough to be labeled as a depression, but the mainstream news especially has done a good job of not wanting to scare people by giving it a title of depression, because depression basically, it speaks for itself. It's one of them things where it's going to be a long, slow process to any type of recovery to what was before. And so I'm gonna stop ranting. But in the chat, let me know, are there any? So we got Aaron says the Greater Depression. Okay, that's it seems like a continuation from the last one. And I think right now, and I'm going to get into why I call this a technologically advanced depression. And so I think that right there might help distinguish it a little bit from the Great Depression. And so what else we got here? Someone says the wake up call. Okay, that's going to be different. So, I don't see the word depression in there, but I get your point. Truth or nothing, that's life. What else we got here? Any other people want to throw out some names? It says mainstream allowing Fauci to scare the brainless folks. 100%, 100%. And so clearly Fauci is labeled as America's doctor or America's whatever. But yet I'm starting to like that young lady who just got laid off from both her jobs and took it like a champ and is still out there doing her thing. One of the doctors from the, who spoke at the Supreme Court or whatever. She's more of America's doctor to me. I can't think of her name now, but I've been following her on social media, and I'm very, 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 very pleased to see the efforts that's being put forth by those doctors to share their truth to combat these lies. And so I got an article I'm going to talk about that as well. And so a cause depression, a depressic. Okay. Pandemic. Yes. A pandemic. Okay. All right. So nothing else. Much please safe. Okay. Sucker that clown. Okay. So I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. The social depression. Yeah. That's one of the many areas that depression, I'm sure, has crept in. And so, all right. So let me get into this article, and I'm going to just highlight a couple things here. It's real short, and then, open it up and let you guys, share your thoughts on this. But what caught my attention was the title alone, that they have given it a name. Now we'll see if this name sticks, the pandemic depression. But here it just talks about don't confuse a rebound for recovery, says economists Carmen and Vincent. Looks like husband and wife team. But just right here in the blue, for the most part, says it all. It says this situation is so dire that it deserves to be called depression, a pandemic depression. It seems disrespectful to the many losing their jobs and shutting their businesses to use a lesser term to describe this affliction. And then, of course, it goes into the article a little bit more. It gives their 3 reasons as to why. But here's one of the things that I think when it comes to history and what we can take away and use as a somewhat of a model or as a guide for depression is the fact that the last depression that we know about, the Great Depression, it lasted approximately 10 years based upon certain measurements of, getting a GDP back up and people back to work and all that stuff like that. And during that Great Depression timeframe, that's when all the social programs were introduced by the government. So here we are again now, where I'm anticipating the same depression, the pandemic depression, the great hoax depression, or whatever we want to call it, will be a prolonged event that will be strategically used by government as well as central banks and banks in general to implement all those things that they have planned, and we know what they are. And so the pandemic depression is one of those things where it's a lot different in the sense of what the prior depression was like because of technology. And so here's another question I want to throw out there. And so somebody said, Chester says the pandemic depression. Yes, I'm feeling it. And so why I call this life in a technologically advanced depression is the fact that what was it? What we at 2020 now? So what is it? Over 80 years ago, whenever the last depression was, close to no, almost 90 years now, give or take. 90 years ago, give or take. So basically 90 years ago, when we had the Great Depression, think about that. That was a time frame where there was no technology. It was quite obvious based upon the fact that people were not willing and able to stay home and wait for aid to come their way and wait for stimulus to be directly deposited into their checking accounts so that they can then use their smartphones and their credit cards to go out and spend, as well as what it was the EBT cards, the government program, which I'm assuming probably is growing, of which we haven't heard much about that. But you factor in those two or three things there that I mentioned, makes this current depression so watered down because of technology. And so there's more than enough people out there hurting. If we were to talk about all the bad things happening between in the household with between spouses, then you have the child abuse, and all those things happening behind the scenes. It happened during that era as well, I'm sure. But because of technology, we're hearing more about that stuff, and I'm sure there's a lot more taking place that we're not hearing about. And so the reason I titled this living in a technologically advanced depression is the fact that having a smartphone, having access to internet has diluted the true pains from being felt, because people are not really forced to go out in the streets and beg for food and stand in long bread lines and things like that. And people can cover it up. And for most part, as we say, stunt. You can pretend that everything is fine, but yet behind the scenes, there may not really be the case. And so I'm going to throw out there, I'm curious to find out from those that are watching, how many people out there, list a couple other technological advancements that might make this current depression that we're entering into appear to be either watered down, mild, or perhaps it might not be. I'm curious to find out what you guys think. And so, am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know. Does this current depression that is clear as day, the numbers line up, everything is horrific when it comes to the stats, and the stats are even the stats we've been given have been fabricated. So we know we've been lied to, but yet it's still ultimately overall bad. So I'm curious to find out, what do you guys think? And so let me know. Give me a call. Let's talk. Let me open up the phone lines. I don't want to rant forever. And then in a minute, I'll get into another somewhat of another topic, but I want to stay on this for a minute. And so two things I want to hear from you guys about this, this pandemic depression. Given that we're in the age of technology, let me know your thoughts on that. And then also list any other things or categories that I may not have listed that would also indicate that we're truly in depression, things I have not touched on. So feel free to let me know. I'm curious. And for those that are just chiming in, I'm sharing an article based upon some economists that were given permission to pretty much provide the first label and to, associate the word depression with this current time frame that we're entering into. And outside of the economy, when it comes to all those statistics and numbers, we're looking really grim right now. When I had Michael Pinto was on the show and at the end of 2017, and he was throwing out stats at that time. Let me go back to this. Let me see here. So Michael Pinto was throwing out stats way back in the day, basically demonstrating at that time, according to what he was seeing, we were in a depression. And so let me actually find out what time frame that was. Let me go. Give me 1 second here. I want to find out what time frame was that interview, because he called it. He labeled it 2-3. Was it 3? It could have been 3 years ago now. He labeled it the Greatest Depression, the Greatest Depression. Which one was it? Let me see here. Where's he at? Where's Michael Pinto? All right. Okay, here we go. So here, I'll put this on the screen here so you guys can see it. So here's a little archive of all my past interviews over the years of Rethinking the Dollar. And so here I have Michael Pinto on the show. And this was, let me go and we'll see. All right, so this right here, this interview was done in October of 2017. And during this interview here, Michael Pinto was throwing out all types of nuggets as to why we were in a depression then. So imagine, here we are now, and they have an official excuse to call it the pandemic depression. But anyway, all right, so here we go. Let's talk. I apologize for that. All right, let me open up the phone lines and we can chat for a little bit. Oh, I apologize. Missed a few calls. That's what happens, man. Start rambling. All right, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello?
Hello?
Hey there. How you doing?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. What's up?
Tony from Oakland. How you doing, my man?
Oh, not too bad, man. I hate to change your subject. You got something good going on, but I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What happens if the Democrats and Republicans can't come to a conclusion and that gives a checkbook to Trump? He decides that the only bill that's in front of him is the bill for $3.3 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, he's going to get stimulus and cut the payroll tax. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so so I think the 3.4 trillion is coming from the Democratic side, and what's being suggested by McConnell, who doesn't want to open up the checkbook, is that 1 million ish. So is Trump? So you saying Trump is going to be more than willing to go with the Heroes Act, or just the currency side and then the payroll tax and everything else? Because
he's gonna throw that in on top of it just for a bonus. He gonna take the Democrats because that's the only bill that's passed in one house.
Yeah.
So he's gonna take that and he's gonna give us that old sad song that I did this once before. I'm not gonna do it again.
Mm-hmm.
You guys need to get on board and start passing these bills because people are hungry.
And so I'm anticipating that. So I'm not surprised whether it's this, 1 trillion to get it, because everything they're going to do now, it's all a 90 day or so patch job. So whether it's 1 now or 3.3 then, I might buy them for the rest of the year, perhaps. But 1 trillion is going to be a 3-month, patch job. So I'd imagine, that's just, 1 or 3, it's all the same to me. It's just diluting the currency supply. So no matter what, we're going to still have issues because that's just how this is going. So I would not be surprised.
Right. They spending $1 trillion a month, but the Fed's got you, man. The Fed's got you. Here's a good one for you.
Yeah.
The Fed is starting to set up a UBI system.
Yep.
And it's called Fed Now Service.
Yep.
FEDNOW Service.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I came across an article earlier with that. So go ahead. Give me some more.
Yeah, it's a service for 24/7, 365. They can direct deposit into your account.
Yeah.
That sounds like UBI to me.
100%. Let me pull up an article here. So I actually got an article here. I pull this up here, and so this is in alignment with what you're talking about. So it's in the works, man. Like, here's the thing. Like, it's nothing new. We all knew this was coming. It's just the timing of it. Is it going to be this year, next year, or how are they going to try? They're going to try to slowly walk this in, or what? But here I have an article up here that says Feds Bernard lays out central bank's instant payment framework. And so it was initially slated to be released officially by 2023 to 24. But now they're saying because of the unbanked, there's so many people out there that's not able to get help directly and get it in their hands right away. We have to speed this thing up. So we're going to do our best to roll this out even faster. So I'm not surprised at all.
Well, but you know that it has to go through the Fed.
Yeah, but
the system that everyone is jumping onto is the Swift GPI, and that keeps the honest man honest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what China's switching to, is the SWIFT GPI system.
Mm-hmm.
But the Fed's going to have their own, where you got to go through the Fed in order to get your money.
Yeah.
So the Chinese are going to set theirs up with a little bit of gold in it just to keep things even, and then the U.S. is just going to say we Zimbabwe now.
So watch this. So that SWIFT GPI, I'm pulling that up now because I haven't been too well versed in that one. So what about China's SIP or chips, their Chinese version? I would imagine they would put more energy and time into that as opposed to still continue to play around with the SWIFT, anything labeled SWIFT, which is going to be also, linked to the dollar Federal Reserve notes. I don't think you think they're going to play that game?
Oh, they're going to play that game, but it has, everything's done in the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't throw the dollar to the side and say now we're on a new system. You have to still incorporate that dollar, but you use it just. It's like the pound sterling. How much is people actually using the pound sterling?
Not much at all.
It's there, but it's not being used.
Correct. So yeah,
and that's what's going to happen with the dollar. It's just going to depreciate so much, and inflation's going to be behind it. It doesn't look appealing to anybody.
Right. So it's going to be a gradual decrease of usage, which is a slower version of the de-dollarization process. Adding in more options so you're not dependent solely on just one, the Federal Reserve note. So yeah, man, I get you on that one. So we will see. And so we know the future.
We know the future, but we know where we need to be, though.
Exactly. You got to be in your vault, man. Got to be holding it down in your vault, man. I'm sitting on. I got about 2 or 3 tons behind me, so I'm good.
Well, that's all right, man. Let me sit on front with you.
Good, man. Good to hear from you, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah, man. Get your weight up. So yeah, all right, let's keep talking, man. Give me a call, let's talk. And so, at this point, we start out talking about the Great Depression or the pandemic depression. Curious to get your thoughts on that. Me saying that it's a technologically advanced depression because of technology. And so with the implementation of, credit card system, now we got the crypto side coming in. And so technology is going to be heavily utilized to try to ease some of the pains. And speaking of technology, the Federal Reserve, the fact that the Federal Reserve, who's the cause of all this chaos globally, will looking like they're going to be the ones that will probably roll out and institute the first legal tender digital rebranding of the dollar and do it directly, therefore bypassing their own banks, which is, I'm assuming, a part of the original plan. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Pete, the People's Republic of Colorado.
Pete, how you doing, my man?
Oh, any better than I couldn't stand it. You were asking us what we think the name of all this is going to be.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
All right, go ahead.
Would you agree that history is written by the victors?
Yeah, I would agree with that, yes.
Okay, so I'll give you a name if you tell me who's going to win.
Man. So, I want to be, I would like to say, because, if it's a war or it's we the people versus the continuation of the central bank cabal establishment. And so I would love to say that we the people will win and triumph over the establishment. But yet, I'm not 100% sold on that, because that's not biblical to me. So if the central bankers get more of what they want, then they'll be writing the history books, and then they will give it official titlement when we look back. So what will the central bankers give us?
Oh, the Great Reset.
Yeah,
that's what they keep saying over and over again.
Yeah, so that was told to us before this. The economists gave us their version of the pandemic depression. So the Great Reset. Now, how about this? Let's go to the other side. Say if we the people, are able to overcome this, several century enslavement of monetary oppression, and come back and be victorious via gold, silver, and anything else people want to add on top of that, then what will we call that?
That's harder. I hadn't thought about that.
And so,
Maybe I don't have enough faith in my fellow man. I look both ways in a one-way street.
Yeah. So, and I would like to sit up here and be very optimistic and saying that we, the people, will all be in sync and in tune, and we are going to overcome. But yet, I haven't sensed that or sniffed that out yet. So I'm not doubting it is possible, but it'll only come through the Lord Jesus Christ. That's for sure.
Well, I agree with you. Just wanted to mix you up like I love to do.
So watch this. Think about that. Think about that question I left you with, and then get back with me. Let me know, or let us know in the chat. I'm curious to hear what you say.
All right. You have a great night.
Pete. You too.
Goodbye.
All right, man. Great call. Great question. So, Pete, I'm glad. I think that's the first time I left you with a question to think about. So, definitely, that's good, man. All right, so it says, call again. I have a webcam. Okay, John in Colorado says, let's do a group Zoom. I got a webcam. Okay, I got you, man. I was intending on doing one today, but didn't get a chance to get set up for it. So, yeah. Okay, so that's another question to throw out there for everybody watching. We the people. It's we the people. It's always been we the people. Unfortunately, due to greed, money, power, our politicians have been all bought and paid for. And the central banks have managed to do everything they wanted to do, as well as all the oligarchs and you name it. And so the Great Reset is something they even told us this is what it's going to be called. And they told us how they're going to do it and why they're going to do it. Of course, it's their agenda. Economists giving us titles out here called the Pandemic Depression. And so, God willing, if we the people are able to overcome this great evil, what would we call that? What would we call the victory? I'm curious to find out in the chat. Let me know. And so let's, I think it's good to be hopeful, and of course to be prayed up on it and give it to the Lord. Ultimately it's His battle ultimately, because it's a war between good and evil, and He's already won. And so that's a good part about this. All right, so let me hear from somebody. Give me a call. The phone lines are open, or highlight at Rethinking a Dollar and to stand out, and I'll try to get to it. And we'll go from there. It says to think that they are looking for people smoking plants to lock them up. Okay, so let me see here. I don't know what that is. I got another article I want to touch on, which when I read it, it gave me a little small glimpse of hope. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Sean from Albany, New York.
Sean from New York, my man. Give me some good news out of New York.
Well, I was calling about that FedNow system.
Okay, go ahead.
This was planned years in advance. It was called Executive Order 13772.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the first 7 executive orders Trump signed back in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 13772.
All right, give me 1 second.
By the end of,
let me pull this up here. Executive Order. It's an Executive Order what?
13772.
All right, 13772. Let me pop this up and see what.
It basically says by the end of this year, it says that they want to have the faster payments system activated, is what the executive order is.
Okay, so let me. I see it here. Okay, I see this here. Okay, it says the core principles for regulating the United States financial system is an executive order signed by the president in 2017. And corporate regulation. Okay, so keep sharing some thoughts on it. I'll dive in deeper, because I'm not aware of this executive order.
On the task force is Ripple, the XRP currency.
Yeah.
They were the head of the task force, basically. So,
okay.
what's going to happen is every country is going to have their own digital currency, and there's going to probably be multiple currencies to start off with that's going to bridge it between.
All right.
Until they hyperinflate the dollars away, and no one wants those. But that's probably 2025 is when the dollar's probably going to have to go away, and then they'll just do the crypto.
Yeah.
There's PDFs and things like that that a lot of YouTube channels have gone into that cryptocurrency thing.
Yeah.
That I've seen, but basically that's kind of like another reset in 2025. Basically.
All right. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you for sharing that executive order.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night, Mike.
All right, you too. All right, so that's some good information to know right there. And so Executive Order 13772, I will dive further into this. Anybody out there familiar with this, let me know in the chat. says, where's the executive order for credit cards? Looks like low blood pressure looking to be forgiven for all the credit he's utilized to get his weight up with. So, low blood pressure, you might get bailed out. I mean, I don't know if I forgot which bank it was in Canada. I think Bank of America forgave the entire country their debt. So, it's possible. It's possible. Who knows? But and so it's interesting how he mentioned that Ripple. And so I know, so if that is the case, then I can see how a lot of people are extremely bullish on Ripple. If Ripple is a part of the plan ultimately. So, if that is the case, then hey, we know Ripple will be will definitely go through the roof along with every other cryptocurrency, I believe, as well, initially. So yeah, good stuff, man. Appreciate you guys for calling and sharing your thoughts. Let me know what's going on. They can take my money, they can take my life, but if mess with things, big gold chain, they will feel the wrath of Rambo. Oh man. All right, so watch this. I want to share with you something else that I think is interesting. And so here is a article, and the title caught my attention once again. So this was from Zero Hedge, and it says only 42% say they will submit to a, as you guys can see on the screen here, a new poll finds. And so what really stood out to me and was kind of like, okay, perhaps, more people are waking up, and thank God for all the individuals, especially those doctors that I was mentioning earlier, that is speaking out against, the established, bought and paid for, people with the fake white papers and Dr. Fauci himself. And so let me answer this call here. Then I'm going to dive more into this article here. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Let me money bad. K-Town, Texas.
How you doing, my man?
I'm all right. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, boss man. What's in your mind tonight? What are your thoughts?
Man, I think people, look, man, you know how they tell everybody to go out and vote.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. We got to vote before we vote. And what I mean by that, there's a lawyer you can follow on YouTube by the name of Erica Culver.
Erica Culver?
Yeah, Kullberg.
All right, let me see this one.
And she gives you some advice on the last video saying that you need to get on the website or where you can find your governor and the people that you senate that's in your area, and you need to send them a message. Put in like where you're from, your state, and your address and all that, and you need to let them know that like now during this time, like things that you don't like, be like, I'm such and such. These are the things that I don't like. These are the things that we do want, and if you don't comply with those, basically to make the other side win. And that's what we need to start doing before we go out and initially vote. Yeah. We need to start paying attention to what everybody's doing, and you need to set your opinion before you vote. Because once you vote, that's a wrap.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's definitely some good information to have, but we got to get that stuff, we got to get that type of information out to people, for the future. Because as of right now, the primaries is already underway now, so the chosen ones are already running, both left and right. So it's one of them things where it's never too late, but yet that type of message there definitely needs to get out to more people. But it's like, how do you magnify that message there so people can actually, hear about that and take that in consideration and actually do it is the big question.
Well, like the number one killer of the world is technology on so many levels. You can get killed quick about watching YouTube or getting on Facebook quicker than you can getting in your car and driving to the convenience store. But how we get that message out is we have to come to one place. We have to find one person that we believe in. Say we use you as an example. Now the people, your fans and their auto watchers, we have to magnify you. And we bring people in just like everybody be saying, hey, go look at this, go check out this article, read this article. That's the same way we need to do with people that we believe in that have big platform. Hey, you need to tune in to Mike. He has a message. You got to tune in to Mike. He has a message. RTD. You tune in. You got a message. And that's how you spread. But if we just keep coming to here and having the same, nothing is getting changed. Like nothing against your show, but when we show up, what's being changed?
Right.
Like, what steps are we doing to actually initiate a change?
Right. That's very true. Now watch this. So one thing I want to share with you in regards to this, and this has to do with the article I was about to touch on. And so I would attribute some of the okay, so here's an article here. And put up on the screen 1 second. And it has to do with, the numbers that are being given. And so initially in March, when everything jumped off, I would imagine out of just sheer fear, there would have been an overwhelming majority of people who would have said, hey, I'm going right away. As soon as there's a vaccine out there, I'm going to take it, because out of just sheer fear, they would have not even questioned and just took it because that they believe in the system. And so looking at this article here, it says only 42% say they will submit. And so if you look at this visual aid here, which is what really caught my attention, it's the downward trend, according to this survey here, the downward trend of those that in May, just May, would have been easier to go and opt in to get a vaccine test, as opposed to here in July 30th, where the numbers are going down. So this graph here is trending downward, to where, to me, that shows that more people are either questioning, waking up, or something. And I believe it's attributed to alternative media, by all the censoring by Twitter and YouTube. They're hearing about the fact that why are they censoring these people out here unless they're a threat? And so they're actually digging in for themselves. So I think, there is some good being done, but will it be enough will be the question, and fast enough.
No, it definitely won't be enough, and it's not going to be fast enough. Let me tell you one thing that the government does to us that we don't even realize.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing that ex-con explained to me one time.
Mm-hmm.
He said the thing that they do to us is they give us more choices than we need. Why do you think there's so many acts? You got the Hills Act, you got the Donald Trump Act, you got the Nike Reebok Act, you got all these acts.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? And ex-con, a good friend of mine, changed his life. He said, man, when I was locked up and I needed a bag of chips, I only had 3 chips to choose from. Doritos cheese, Doritos ranch, or Lay's regular. He said, when I got out after 15 years and looked in the store, he said, man, don't you know, my girl was like, what's taking him so long? He said, so she came in, he said, man, I was in the chip aisle for 15 minutes. I mean, we have to take our people that's in charge, give them rules. Mm-hmm. This is what we want. We don't need this. We're going to choose between this and this. If we don't like neither one of them, then we're going to have to start all over again from square one. Mm. But the thing, they're not involving the people. We are sitting up. It's like you hiring somebody to wash your car. You walk in the house, but you ain't monitoring the guy that's washing your car. When you got fingerprints left and you want to like, hey, man. You say, man, look, that's my money, man. That's my time. I got to go, man. Time is money. But you should have been monitoring the whole time, saying, hey, no, man, you get that right there. Get that. Hey, man, I'm paying you. Get that right there. We're not doing that. Yeah. So we have to start showing up. We have to start paying attention to what these folks doing and say to them, look, I don't agree with this. You need to change it or I will vote against you.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree, man. So having a narrowed down or so your first one was having a place where more people can gather to get this type of message, or get a message that can rally the people together and better inform people. And then also, if we don't like our options, create our own options and enforce those. So, yeah.
Now check this out. It can't. Now this is what you got to do. You can't use technology, Mike. You have to go rent a building. Mm-hmm. You have to start with technology, get the message out, and then you got to go show up. I remember I watched some of your old videos where you were actually hitting the street.
Yeah.
That's what we need. I don't care about no pandemic. We got to hit the street.
Yeah.
You got to show up. You got to go get that building. You got to go hold this big webinar, invite people out. And we got to do it that way, man. We got to show up and they be like, where are all these people going to? They don't see you going. They don't see us clicking on the like button. They don't see us tuning in to your shows.
Yeah.
Then, ratings and all that. But we need to get in our vehicle, drive to a location, blow it. Yeah, this man, he's speaking, yada, yada. And we got to go from there. We got to show up. They have to see us.
Yeah. Good point, man. As always, pay me money bags. Good to hear from you, man. Thank you for the insights.
No problem. Very
valuable.
You have a good one.
Yep, you good. Yes, sir. Yeah, man, that's the real talk. Action. Put your feet to the ground and make something happen. Yeah, man. Yeah, we need more strategies implemented. And so, as I was mentioning just a minute ago, based upon this little graph here of seeing a downward trend of what appears to be, based upon the information gathered, of more people questioning, waking up, and not being so quick to just volunteer to be the first to get, to get the first batch or any batch for that matter is very promising. And I think with continued push, and I think a lot of the censorship by the mainstream media can ultimately come back to shoot them in the foot or hurt them more than it helps them, because if censorship continues to become a part of the narrative, and so even we got Trump talking about fake news, so you got the sheeple people who are already politically ingrained to go down that more liberal, more loose pathway. Then you have others that are questioning anything. Then you have those on the other end that are solely for the Constitution, what remains of it, and we'd be willing to question everything and do the best they can. So there's basically a couple different people out there. So I'm hoping that more people begin questioning. That's the biggest thing we can hope for now individually. Share information with more people so they can question the mainstream narrative and make them actually do their own research, and hopefully they'll find the truth in that. So yeah, man, Lacey said, Mike, lead us. I apart from trying to share my insights and intuition and be led by the Holy Spirit when I can, I'm just my initial duty is to gather as many like-minded individuals as I can so that we can all become more informed and hopefully through that information be equipped to then go out and to impact our own worlds. And it starts with, of course, information that hopefully leads to action. And so as Baby Moneybags mentioned, letting people know what type of talk we talk about over here or wherever else, so any of the other YouTube people. And so it's good to say that. Let me see, I'm trying to think. I don't know. Me personally, I don't know of many other alternative media channels that actually is relying upon the viewers' voices to further educate the masses, as opposed to me just sharing my opinions. Everyone here gets to contribute, and that's the great part about it. And so with the phone lines is open, this is your platform. Give me a call, let's talk. And so give me a call, let's talk. Once you share your insights, then what I would recommend you do, depending on how you feel, take this portion of the YouTube video and share it with your family and friends so they can hear you share your wisdom to the audience of what it looks like about 253 people here now. So out of 253 people here, phone rung about 6-7 times so far that I've answered. I think, hey, what's up? Give me a call. Share your wisdom. Share your knowledge. This is about you. There's no talk show unless I have somebody to talk to. So that's enough of me ranting. But anyway, let's keep it moving right along. Okay, so here's another thing that I want to throw out there. And this is as a result of this Great Reset, Great Depression, whatever you want to call it, the pandemic. The pandemic triggers rapid food inflation as unemployment remains at Great Depression levels. And so once again, more depressionary talk. So I want to talk about food prices. So definitely, let's talk about that in a minute. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello?
Hello, Mike.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's Matt from Nashville, man.
I'm Matt from Nashville. What's going on, my man? What's in your mind tonight? Drop some knowledge for us.
Man, lately, I don't know how it came up, but I stumbled upon, and I might have subscribed to it a long time ago, but I don't know. But I got an email from this website called Log College Press, and I think it was where, I don't know, it was like where some dad really wanted to train his children, I don't know, like 1800s or whatnot. And then he started a school, and then it ended up being a bigger school, and I think it ended up being Princeton. I think Princeton originally started out as a Christian dad wanting to train his children up and give them a biblical worldview school. And it started out like that, and it was called Log College. But I got an email from them the other day, and I found something I thought was really, really cool. So it says, I'm going to read you the quote. I didn't know, but I saw where you were live, and so I've been listening to you guys, and I was like, well, all right, in a second when I get the free time, I'm gonna call. So it says that the NRA actually met with President Lincoln before his death, and they were talking about their goals and supporting President Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
And it says that a large influential committee was appointed to wait upon President Lincoln for an official endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
And he responded saying that, and as far as he had the opportunity to understand the purpose of the association, being the NRA,
mm-hmm.
And that they were Christian men, that he made it his first point to abolish slavery in America in his first term,
mm-hmm.
and that he would see to it on his second that the adoption of a suitable recognition of the authority of the Lord Jesus Christ in the Constitution of the United States.
Mm. Really?
I know, and I was like, that was what President Lincoln on record said that he was going to make his second term about. The first one was going to be about abolishing slavery,
mm-hmm.
and the second one was going to be to make an amendment in our Constitution that we would acknowledge the crown rights of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And that all authority would surrender to his authority. And I was like, man,
that would have been
so. And I was thinking, man, if we had more politicians that acknowledge Christ as king, as the true ruler,
yeah.
king of all kings, I thought that would be cool. So I thought you would find encouragement in that.
Oh, definitely.
And maybe praying about other, Christian civil magistrates,
mm-hmm.
Rising up and taking on the true task that they are to do. Surrender all authority to Jesus and rule in honor.
I dig that, man. Appreciate you calling in. Thanks for calling and sharing that. Definitely, I did not know that, so I appreciate you for dropping some knowledge. So appreciate it.
You got it, Mike. I'll see you. You have a good night.
Yep, you too. Be good. Yes, sir. Let me get to so another call here. Let me get this one. All right, so phone lines are open. I missed a couple calls there, so I'm excited that more people are calling. So definitely, when somebody's on the phone, I won't be able to get to it, but drop me a call. Let's talk. We got about 10 more minutes, give or take, and I want to hear from you guys. But food inflation. So I even asked my wife, and I'm like, have you noticed anything? As far as the price is going up, and of course, she's a couponer, so she's like, no, not really, but yes and no. So I'm curious, what I'm saying, because right now we are in the pandemic depression or whatever you want to call it. And so here's an interesting article here that shines more light on it. Talks about meat and poultry prices jumped 11%, beef prices surging 20%. So definitely throughout the country, we having some issues. Let me get to this call here. All right, give me 1 second. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Joe from Bella Vista, Arkansas. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Joe from Arkansas. What are your thoughts on tonight's subject matter?
Well, I don't know. One thing leads to another, which, to be honest with you, it's a big old rat race, and it's hard for me to keep on track, being honest with you.
Yeah.
But I have a question for you. It might be a bit off topic, but if you're willing.
Yep, drop it.
Okay, I've got a 401k. I'm thinking about taking some money out because of what's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to close it out, but even with the penalties and all that good stuff, I'm thinking about taking out about 25% of it and turning it into something tangible, such as precious metal. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so once again, just my personal opinion, not financial advice. I think one of the, this is my personal opinion. I think one of the greatest benefits that within the CARES Act is the opportunity for individuals to be able to, given the circumstances, if you're experiencing some hardships or something like that, it gives you immediate access to be able to get as much as you want, minus the early withdrawal penalty, and you have to pay it back. They're going over 3 years. You get you pay taxes on certain portions every 3 years or something like that. And so, to me, when I first saw that and heard that, I thought that was the best way for those that are concerned with the direction of this country and its monetary system to be able to get as much out of the system as they want it and to be able to turn it into something. And so, whatever you keep in there basically says that you're confident in the fact that it'll be there when you want it. And you're willing to ride the wave, whether it goes up or down in the next couple of years, which most definitely is going to go up. But yet, you got all issues with that. And so it all depends on your confidence level on, what you keep in there. And so the fact you're taking some out, my personal opinion is it's yours. So you should have access to yours. And then getting something physical if you talk about metals, I think you're going to win as well on that end as well. So it's just the claims to the companies and everything else within that 401k that, I've, heard more than enough people to let me know that, it may not turn out the way you want it to be in the end, but yet that's everybody's own level of risk and comfort. So that's just my personal opinion, man. So being able to get what you can out, right now the CARES Act makes it, an option for you, and it saves you money because some of the penalties are eliminated. So, that's just my thought. But, what do you feel?
Well, I feel if I take some of it out, it will give me control directly over what I want it to go to.
Right. Now, here's another option. And so perpetual assets. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but then there's another opportunity for people to be able to actually take their entire 401k and take actual possession of it yourself and become the steward of it yourself legally. And then you can convert it into metals or whatever else and store it on your end and still have everything legal to where there's no withdrawal fees because you're just basically opting out of that system and becoming your own steward. And so that's something that also a lot of people that I'm aware of are checking out and actually doing, because basically there is just you transferring ownership back into your own hands and getting what you want and putting what you want inside of your 401k. So that's another option that I think is another good option, which gives you 100% control.
I appreciate that advice.
Yes, sir. So is Will Lear from perpetualassets.com. He's on the show before. I recommend you check him out and just talk to him, and he'll give you some information as well to help you help better steer your course.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
your show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. And so that's a great question, and I'm glad I thought about that. And so I've had Will Lear on the show before, and once again, there's a lot of opportunities and products out there that have been created to allow you to take what's yours, put it in your own stewardship, and manage it and put it into whatever you want to put it into. And so people are doing it. So look into it, educate yourself on it. But like Robert Kiyosaki, he's a much bigger, more older, wiser gentleman. He basically said 401k is a scam, and if you keep it in there, it's your loss ultimately. So that's anyway. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, how's it going? It's Brando Commando.
Brando Commando. How you doing, my man? What's on your mind tonight?
I'm doing great. Hey, I tried to follow up with the previous caller. I just did that a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do it a year ago, but everyone's like, "Oh no, don't touch your 401k. The stock market's doing awesome."
Mm-hmm.
But I finally did it, and I did it through Noble Gold Investments.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little different than you were just describing with perpetual assets.
Yeah.
Because I think that when you take the gold into your own possession, especially if it's a large amount, you have to insure it,
mm-hmm.
and you have to have a really good place to store it. So nobody wants to keep like $50,000 in gold in their house. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anyway, so I did through this company, Noble Gold Investment,
mm-hmm.
and they also do cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So I swapped out like 60% of my 401k,
mm-hmm.
and you don't pay any fees or penalties on it,
right?
Because they still hold it in custody for you.
Mm-hmm.
So Noble Gold is like a broker, and then they contract a company called like Equity Management or Equity Assets or something like that,
mm-hmm.
and they're the actual custodian. So all the gold and all the metals are like certified for 401k, quality asset. And then they also broker crypto for you and keep it in cold storage.
Yeah. Now, so the only difference based upon what you're explaining to me and what Will mentioned is that, to my knowledge, you were, on the perpetual asset side, I could be, I know I got to recheck this, but you are responsible. And so you hold everything. You got your weights, you got your crypto, everything is on you, and there was no third party. So I don't know if that's still the case, not on Will's end, but it sounds like there's some middlemen involved in that transaction there where you still got to trust those individuals. So, it is what it is, but you're in stuff that you trust, which is good. So, but yeah, that is something exactly. I need to find out if it's,
it's just a way to get your 401k out of the equities market,
right.
rather than just like let it sit there in cash or sit there in a bond market.
Yeah.
you can do something with it. And it was pretty easy and pretty fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it in February, and things are going up. I mean, Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing awesome right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I recommend it. And I found another website. It's like similar to that ammo website I was telling people about, where you just find good prices on bullion. It's called findbullionprices.com. Where it kind of shows you who's the cheapest bullion in town.
All right, I will look that up. Oops, I forgot the D. All right, so appreciate you for sharing that one. So findbullionprices.com. All right, so here goes something here. So I'll put this on the screen here. So great recommendation as to a way to find. Okay, so I got it on the screen here. So definitely, I appreciate you for sharing that, my friend.
No problem, Mike. Man, love you. Appreciate your work.
Love you too, my man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yes, sir. Findbullionprices.com. All right, so something worth looking at for those that might be interested. All right, we're going a couple more minutes. Phone lines are open. Let me hear from you guys. What is going on? Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike, what's up? It's Barney Brother.
How you doing, Barney Brother? What's going on, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Kind of wanted to talk about the food situation.
Yeah.
Some of the shortages that are going on.
Yes, sir. Feel
and
free
why.
to do so. Go ahead.
I don't know if you remember back in 2011 when they had that power plant disaster in Japan.
The nuclear power plant, yes.
Correct.
Yep. Fukushima.
Anyway, that's been killing the ocean, the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
Many species and microorganisms, things like that, have been basically just dying off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of Asia gets a lot of their food from seafood, so they're not able to bring that into the country. Even China has a ban on shellfish that comes from the Pacific. So they've been buying a lot of beef and things like that from us.
Mm-hmm.
And we owed China a lot of money, and China wanted food instead, which was working out okay until we had the floods and the droughts last year. That's what the whole trade deal is actually about. It's about food, nothing else.
Yeah.
That's why they rarely release any specifics on it.
Mm-hmm.
They just say trade deal.
Yeah.
And all of that seafood being gone from the food supply is just causing havoc. And it's taken some time for the ocean to die off. But if you do the research on it, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's not looking good. We definitely having a worldwide food shortage right now.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And then as far as the ocean is concerned, I've been hearing about stories for years now how whales be washing up on the shores and all types of animals, just, like whole species along the coastal lines, just, floating in the water dead. So definitely, they're not dying, naturally. So interesting.
Correct.
Man. Yeah, good stuff, man.
But the mainstream media hasn't mentioned anything about Fukushima. They actually go out of their way to suppress that information.
Yeah.
Because if you really start looking at it, then you connect the dots, and then they got problems.
Yeah.
So
very true.
That's just kind of how things go these days. If there's a problem and they don't want you to know about it, they suppress the information and wait till the problem gets worse, and then they have the where they come up with the solution to the problem, and then you just accept it because it's a problem, and no one really knows what the hell is going on.
Right, very true. And also remind you, just mainstream media, the journalist or reporter, they speak off teleprompters, which are pre-written scripts by somebody that wants to control the narrative. So they're never going to put truth in those scripts. So that's just something that we should keep in mind. So that's why, alternative media is growing the way that it has. And that's why it's in danger right now, because as close as we get to the presidential election, for whatever that's worth, I'd imagine there's going to be a lot more YouTube channels and Twitter accounts deleted and all types of things out there, which, yeah.
Well, you see, they're all reading from the same script. I've seen different YouTube channels where they put like 100 news anchors up there, and they have them all saying the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, we care about you. We want to have good news, and there'd be 3 or 4 people just saying the same thing.
Yeah, like 300 or 400 of them, you know.
Yeah, man, I've seen those as well. All right,
the local news is so dumbed down. I mean, they're reporting on things like the high school sophomore girls baseball team score for 5 minutes, and you're like, what the hell? All hell's getting ready to break loose, and you guys are worried about this stuff. Let the girls' high school team's family worry about their sports endeavors that will come to the end at the end of the year. But you know, they're going to have to live the rest of their life in this country. You know, their sports score from last week's exhibition game probably isn't going to really add up to much.
Not at all, man. But hey, I appreciate your call. Let me get a couple more calls in, my man. I appreciate you. Good to hear your voice.
Okay, Mike. Have a good one, buddy.
Thanks. Be good. Yes, sir. Appreciate the call. Let's take another call or two, and then we're going to get ready to dial it back. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, man, this is Roger. I'm in Eagle Pass, Texas, on the Mexican border.
Yes, sir. How
you
doing,
talk
Roger?
a little bit about inflation and maybe silver and gold real quick.
Yep, go ahead.
Starting with inflation is I'm looking at the grocery store, and beef is, I don't know if I'd say doubled in price, but like it's gone up significantly. You know, beef for sure is the top number one inflation when I go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And then second would be pork. Chicken has remained somewhat stable. I mean, it doesn't go to the low prices it used to, but it's pretty stable.
Yeah.
And that's just talking about everyday goods. You know, I've also noticed at discount stores and stuff that there's like a couple of strategies where either raising the price and not buying new inventory. I mean, there's a couple of strategies. I'm just saying is that I've seen weird stuff at discount stores like Burke's, and I don't know if you have Burke's where you live at, but and things like that, like where I went and like I bought a rug thing for my bathroom, it was $9 or $10, and I went back a few months later because I really liked it, and this is like during the COVID thing, and instead they had put a sticker on top of it, and it was $15 now, and like so like the sale discount was now $15. I just stopper, same thing, like it was $2.99, now it's $4.99 or something like that. So just kind of like weird behavior as corporate America is kind of deciding, do we order, do we not order? Are we having shortages and we can't order? That was the inflation side. And then on the other part would be, and I'll hear your thoughts about it, is gold and silver. You know, I got lucky in that I bought in at a really good price on silver.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about liquidating some, but man, it just looks like, you know, I'm worried about the stock market correcting and having one more buying opportunity and going and take the 100% gain, because that's where I'm at. I'm at 100% gain right now.
Yeah.
But you know, and then I'm thinking, man, maybe I should buy more silver. So
yeah,
it's kind of fucked up. But anyway, I'll hang up and listen to your thoughts.
Appreciate you calling, man. I'll touch on that. Yeah, so I got the gold to silver ratio up here, and yeah, so my personal opinion is, man, like, you know, until more of this chaos basically works his way out, or things die down, the Federal Reserve note and everything denominated in it is changing right now. Therefore, tangible assets will go up in value because people look to get out of equities eventually, even though it's going to go back up after they take another dip. People will look to get out and get physical. And so metals right now is just getting started in comparison to where it's going. So I personally, my opinion is I would never part ways with anything that has unlimited potential that will not be hindered by manipulation anymore, because, you know, we're going to come into a physical crunch pretty soon with the shortage of silver and people's unwillingness to get rid of it out of hopes of it continuing to go up as a result of all the liquidity that's going to be pumped out there. So what you're looking at basically is that between now and next spring, we could easily see $4, $5, $6 trillion, and that's just progressively thrown at us, as opposed to something big coming and they have to dump in multiple trillions, and all those trillions have to be absorbed into real as assets. Therefore, silver, your 100% gain, right, could become 5, 10. There's no limit to where it can go. There's no ceiling right now when it comes to how high nominally gold and silver can go. So everything else to me, man, is a joke as far as the best way to preserve your wealth long term. So, and of course, you got the opportunities speculatively that come through the digital blockchain crypto things that's promising as well. So that's what it is, man. So yeah. All right. So it looks like we're at that 104 point. And see, and so how all of a sudden is my age Mike is 62. Mike is 62. Unbelievable. Do I look that old? Man, I see some numbers out there that are right on point with my age, and I'm going to leave it at that. And height-wise, I am above 6'5", so I can put that out there. But anyway, that's all she wrote, people. Let's get ready to dial back. I appreciate everybody chiming in, and it says low blood pressure calling in. If you call it in, you got to call it now because I'm about to get ready to dial back this evening. It's almost 11 on my end. So we'll take this last call. All right. Hello, caller. What state are you calling from?
I am above 6'5". Hello, Mike.
Yes. How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
William from San Diego. I called a couple of days ago.
Yes, sir. William from San Diego. What's on your mind, my friend?
Oh, I wanted to go in with your spiel tonight about silver being physical, the benefits.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about it. In 2018, I turned in some gold. I needed some cash for debt and whatever, projects, real estate. And turned in, and at the Los Angeles CNI gold dealer, they had a lot of 2011 Canadian wolf silver, 1 ounce. And those are things I'd wanted for a long time. But they were always really expensive in the 20s at that time, maybe 30. 2011 Canadian silver wolves. And the clerk that sold me 100 of them for $16.25, right? Each. They were brilliant, uncirculated, no milk spots. Told me that in 2011, the clerk himself, working at the bullion dealer in Los Angeles, under guard and perimeter, patrols and everything, he had paid $64 for them in 2011. And I said, oh my gosh, only in America,
Really?
What an inverse relationship. He was so worried that he would never get his money out. And I said, this was 2018 and everybody was getting really depressed about the silver spot price. And I said, at least you won't have to wait till it's $60 to get out of them, because I knew if ever the turn of positive energy towards silver and gold or silver came around, then it would sweep back up to those heights. But, I was at the low. Can you imagine? I bought them for $16.
Yeah, for real.
100 of them.
So he paid
and he had bought 100
64
for 64. Yeah, 64.
Man. So yeah, and I remember years ago encouraging people, just be patient. Like, think about the fact that at some point the manipulation has to end. The truth will make its way to the surface, and it's going to be years from now. No, ain't no telling how many years from now.
Remember?
Yeah.
Waiting from 2016 when silver swept up over 21 and the silver and gold miners went up. But I also wanted to let you know one more thing. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mike. You're the best.
Appreciate you.
I'm just telling stories.
Yeah.
I'm just telling my stories before I forget them.
That's all good.
Yes. Right now, today, this silver miner I've been invested in since 2016, where I made money on them, but then I stayed too long at the party, if you know what I mean. Owning non-dividend paying equity shares of miners when they go down. They stayed down since 2016 August.
Yeah.
Talking about waiting. And the rest of the silver and gold mines like Newmont, I stayed with Canada and the USA because, even the lockdown, the Pan American and Majestic Silver, they couldn't even produce.
Yeah.
But today earnings came out for Pretium, PVG, and it had been down even lower than 2016, even though silver's at $27 and gold is at $2,000, and it had switched like me to gold as well as silver. But today it went up 25%. That's what I wanted to tell you in one day, because the earnings popped. And see, I've been waiting for that since 2016 because at some point I knew that earnings would mean something. It's sort of going along with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And this is the New York Stock Exchange. That's what I was going to email you about. I know how to read through Fidelity software.
Yeah.
Not the future, but I'm really good at viewing actual value or earnings and profit into the negativity of a depression.
Well, hey, man, keep us up to date with whatever you see. Any opportunities out there, that you see for coming.
I'm going to email
Please
you
do.
because, it's a mathematical process. I'm not a mathematician or an economist, but I can read the software and put up points of logarithms just with Fidelity's own software better than those guys.
Well, good deal,
I had
man.
a Series 6 and 63, so I'm going to clue you in on it.
Please
show
do.
you.
Please
I'm
do.
gonna show you.
Well, hey, I appreciate
right,
your call. Let me get another call in, then we're going to log off tonight. But thanks for calling and sharing your thoughts and sharing our story as well.
Oh, love you, Mike. All right, thanks.
All right, love you too, man. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Chicago.
Yes, sir. What's your name?
Hey, my name's Tony.
Tony.
Hey, I have a comment. I do like your show. I didn't think I was going to get in tonight. But I think you're awesome. Your show's awesome. But
Appreciate
have you ever heard of a gentleman named Dr. Lee Warren from Chicago?
Dr. Lee Warren from Chicago. No, I have not.
I think you should get him on your show. He'd be a good guest for you. He's very much into economics and some of the topics that you talk about.
Yeah.
He gives classes here in Chicago. He's an awesome gentleman. I've been taking his classes since about 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
He's the first person that got me into investing in silver. So I think you should look him up. His organization is called Power Latent Man, PLIM, PLIM.
Okay, I have Dr. Lee Warren on the screen here. Let me see. I don't know if this is MD doctor.
So he's his degree, I think, is in theology.
Doctor. Let me see. Dr. Lee Warren.
He's not a medical doctor, though.
He's not a medical doctor.
No.
Okay, so yeah, I'm getting a medical doctor here. Is he on YouTube or a website or?
I think he has his own website. I think it's plim.org maybe, or plim2.org.
Plim. What's Plim2?
I have to apologize. I didn't know I was going to get through.
That's all good.
Yeah, he's Power Latent. He's an African-American gentleman that I call him kind of African-American prepper in Chicago, but he's an awesome guy.
Do me a favor, because I'm not seeing anything here. Shoot me an email or put it in the chat before you log off, and I'll see it and I'll copy it or whatever and look into it. So definitely, I'm always looking for new people to connect with. So definitely can do that, my man.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, be good.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, man. So it seems like everybody wanting to hear from Mr. Low Blood Pressure before we dial off. And so I would definitely give it a second. So the phone lines are open. So it looks like it's a race to get the last call in. So I'll give it a second, man. But as always, for those that are tuning in, make sure you do me a favor, show your boy some love, hit the thumbs up button, and show your support for the channel. And let me see what the silver is going over 50. Yeah, silver is going over 50. He's going eventually over 100, and who knows where it's going to end up at. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Definitely give it a second. So phone
Hello? Hello? Going once, going twice. Anybody there?
Yes.
Hi there. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Demetrius calling from Minden, Louisiana.
Demetrius from Louisiana. How you doing, my man? What's on your mind?
Doing pretty good, man. Really want to talk about the psychological.
Oops, say that one more time.
The psychological effect that a lot of people are falling for.
Yeah.
With the currencies and with anything tangible, at any time, man can take that from the circulation from anybody and make you pretty much non-dependent upon him, or dependent upon, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole thing is they're really planning a war against the Most High return.
Mm-hmm.
And the smoke screen is really much the fall of oil. As we know, oil is called the petrodollar. So if oil falls, then of course the dollar should fall behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel we definitely headed down where we need. It's like a global reset as far as the World Economic Forum talks about the global reset.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that the currencies, they definitely don't have any backing.
Right.
Inflation as with Zimbabwe, we see what happened there. Like, I can only imagine that it's going to happen here.
Yeah.
I really don't. Yeah, I really don't. I really want people to focus on the spiritual warfare instead of the physical. Because if a man could control you with something tangible, then he can control your spirit. So as long as you detach from the physical, then you should, your worry shouldn't be too much. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I agree, my man. We are in spiritual warfare, and therefore we need to call on the name of Lord, man, which is our Savior. So I appreciate you for calling and sharing your thoughts, my friend.
No problem.
Yeah, be
Appreciate
good.
your information.
Thanks.
All right.
Yes, sir. So yeah, we are well over time, and so I hung out for a little longer, but it's been great, man. So as always, I will attempt to do one. Can America still go to war to protect your dollar? Or is it too late? Yeah, I think the U.S. can still go to war to protect the petrodollar. I think, but I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can protect it anymore. And so just today, I saw an article about how it's been discovered that Saudi Arabia is getting help from China to build their nuclear plant or something like that. So I'm sure they got another deal worked out outside the petrodollar. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Vicious People from Philadelphia.
How you doing, my man? What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, man. Like, I've been watching you since like 2016. So you put me on to like the monetary system and all that. As far as buying gold, I started buying at that time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But long story short, I got a dealer I go to in Delaware Valley coin shop down there.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me one of those. Remember the gold standard from Roosevelt?
The gold standard from Roosevelt.
Yeah, that paper that you used to put up on the getting rid of the dollar being backed by the gold. He gave me a copy of one of those. He was like, "Yo, sit down and read this." I said, "Oh, I'm well aware, but I just want to make you know."
Yeah,
I just wanted to let you know, man. Go ahead.
Oh no, so you talk about the executive order sign?
Yeah, the executive orders.
Okay,
he gave me a copy. I mean, like a real copy of it. He gave me a copy of it because he said he had the original. He said it was worth $10,000.
Yeah.
So he was like, sit down and really read it. I went and bought me some silver, bought me a couple pieces of platinum.
Uh-huh.
But man, I've been watching you since 2015, man. So, I really thank you, you know what I mean? Because I was like really in the dark on, buying gold and silver. And back when I was younger, I used to have a lot of it, but I used to spend it on buying stuff.
Yeah.
I used to spend that type of stuff. So, but man, you're doing a good job, man. That's good money, man.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Good to hear from you, man. Thanks.
All right. That's all I wanted to say. But man, keep doing your thing, man. Keep informing the people. I try to inform the people down here all the time, but people just sleep, man. They just sleep.
It is what it is, man. But keep doing what you do, man. Thank you for calling. Appreciate
all right, so tell low blood pressure, max all those cards out.
All right, man.
All right, you take it easy, man.
You too.
All right.
Oh, man, funny. Max amount. Okay, so with that being the case, we about to dial back. It's been great hanging out. As always, hit the thumbs up button, and I'll try to get me one in tomorrow as well. It's been a while since I've got a Friday live stream in, but I'll try my best. And other than that, be blessed, be safe, and I will see you guys later. Peace.